Hello everybody, welcome to our documentary on exploring spoken English, and today we are focusing on BBC English. So the basic purpose of this topic is to give some overview about how wide spoken English is. And today we are going to focus especially on BBC spoken English. So, according to you, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the terms BBC English?
What's your name?
My name is Tammy.
How old are you?
I am 33.
Okay.
Are you a native speaker?
I am a native speaker,
Okay.
yes.
Yes. So you're from UK?
I'm from the UK.
Did you watch the BBC?
I honestly only watch, if I watch it live, it's to watch one thing, which is probably Doctor Who.
Oh, okay, I see. So do you like the Doctor Who?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what is BBC English?
Well, BBC English, if someone heard that, they probably think of an old newsreader. So they'd have a certain way of speaking. It's called RP, so received pronunciation, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really hear it now. So on the BBC, you get newsreaders who, sound kind of normal. I say normal, but they sound like everyone, sound
Maybe natural.
natural. Yeah, any part of England or Scotland or Ireland. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you tell me your name?
Yeah, so do you want me to,
I can sit here. Yeah.
it's Michael,
Michael?
Yeah.
How old are you?
68.
68. Okay, thank you. Do you know what is BBC English?
Yeah, it's the word used for what's considered to be proper English.
Okay. Are you a native speaker of English?
I am a native speaker.
You're from here then?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So do you watch the BBC?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, like too often? Often? Daily?
I watched not too often, maybe an hour each day.
Okay, why do you watch the BBC?
Mainly current events, documentaries, some comedy programs, some political programs.
Okay.
But I mean that's age related, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
So, what's your name?
My name is Rafael.
And how old are you?
I am 19.
Okay. Are you an English native speaker?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Where do you come from?
I'm originally from Pakistan.
Okay. So, do you know the BBC?
Yes, I know the BBC.
Okay. How long do you know it?
Well, I think 4 or 5 years, ever since I've been watching news. And,
Do you watch it regularly?
well, no, I don't.
Okay. Why not?
Well, I watch it every now and then. I'm not that up to date with current affairs, considering I have a lot of other studies. So, yeah, but I watch it every now and then when I get the time, or maybe just a glimpse of it over the internet or social media websites.
Do you have any definition of what BBC English is?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, work.
So, what's your name
My name is Mikhailo.
and how old are you?
I'm 21.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ukraine.
And are you a native speaker?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So, do you know the BBC?
Yes, I know the BBC. Yeah.
For how long?
Probably like 2-3 years.
And do you watch it?
No, really, no.
Why not?
Because I just don't have time to watch TV. There's so much fun. Yeah, it's quite boring.
And have you heard about BBC English?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Okay.
Well, BBC English is a form of standard spoken English associated with the BBC presenters. It is also important to know that BBC English is often confused with the Queen's English and the RP English. While it is true that the BBC English is a bit influenced by RP English, it is also true that BBC English and RP English are not the same at all. So basically our main question upon this topic are: what is BBC English and why is it worth thinking about? What kind of identity does it give to the audience? What is a standard and how do standards vary? And finally, was it strictly useful?
The BBC English as we know it today is very different from the one of 50 years ago. However, since the moment it was set as a standard language, people from all over the world tried to acquire it. Having mentioned the word standard, it is now important to define what a standard is according to language. A standard language is the one that doesn't show any regional variation. It is also used for multiple purposes, such as the official language of a country, education, and business. It is often described as a variety used by the educated people, and it is seen as more correct and socially acceptable. It also enjoys of a greater prestige than non-standard languages, and it is usually used in the creation of dictionaries and preferred by the learners of the language. Another main characteristic of a standard language is that it doesn't show any information about the speaker. That is to say, that if you hear someone speaking with a standard language, you wouldn't know where that person comes from. The history of the BBC English actually starts in 1922, when Lord Reed adopted it as a broadcasting standard for the company. The BBC English actually started as a combination of RP English and Standard British English. This is because Reed believed that this combination would be the most widely understood here and abroad. But before the 1920s, the RP accent was a representation of power and wealth. And with the arrival of the BBC and the widespread of this relatively new accent, this image of power prevailed. Additionally, it is important to mention that the BBC and the BBC English play an important role during the Second World War. Even though the television service was cancelled during this time, the radio service stood, and it proved to be of great help. The radio service of the BBC expanded its horizons across the world, and people from all over the globe were always paying in on the news of the war. Besides the normal transmissions of the BBC, the radio service provided other services, such as the home services and the Forces program, which principal objective was to keep the nation informed. The expansion of the BBC radio service during the war was only possible because it was easily understood by everyone in all the nations. This is due to the fact that BBC English was now a standard language, and it was preferred by most people around the world.
Language is in constant change, hence it is obvious that something as small as BBC English is changing all the time. BBC English has changed mostly in terms of pronunciation, especially now that the BBC presenters come from different origins. The BBC English from the past differs from today's BBC English. In the past, every symbol was pronounced. However, currently, there are a lot of varieties of accents and dialects in the UK. Therefore, when people listen to the old BBC English, it is seen as being too much accurate. In general, BBC English has a clear pronunciation and it's very easy to understand each word of the speech. The main characteristic of RP is that it doesn't give any linguistic evidence of the origin of the speaker. The change in RP may be observed in the home of BBC English. BBC accent of the 1950s is distinctly different from today's. To start, we are going to see a video of an old speech, which is Macmillan's speech from 1957.
Sorrow, because my friend and leader has had to lay down his burden because of grievous illness. A man of character and courage. I'm sure there's not one of you who does not join with me tonight in wishing him a safe voyage and a speedy restoration to health. Apart from that,
we can notice a big difference in pronunciation and intonation of some words compared to today's pronunciation. For example, the man pronounces very differently the following words: sorrow, because, character, courage, speedy. Next to this, we are going to see a video of the first BBC program in 1936.
Hello, Radio Olympia. This is direct television from the studios at Alexander Palace. And now we're going to see and hear someone you know well, Miss Helen Mackay.
We can hear a big difference in pronunciation when the woman says, "Hello, Radio Olympia." We can hear an enlargement of the vowel sounds of hello and radio, and a difference in the final diphthong of Olympia. In addition, we can see a difference when the woman says, "We are going to see and hear." We can see the difference in the pronunciation of this diphthong and also the enlargement of this vowel. The word palace is also pronounced very different because the woman elongates the first vowel of the word. Now we are going to see two videos of the same series, which is Doctor Who, and one is from 1980 and the other is from this year, and we're going to see the difference.
Hi, I've just discovered I can increase the power of my prime by 5 times in 111 seconds. Office automation, revolution, accounting, no more books. Around the planet, communications instantly. I can design ships, run power stations, oil, gas. Where would the energy industry be without prime?
Ask it how to handle a woman.
Romana, will you, man?
Yes.
Oh, prime.
Clever prime.
You can say that.
I don't remember ordering anything. Must have been a while back. What do you think? Still me?
Nice. Check it out. They even use bubble wrap.
Doctor, look at this. The back of the packing slip. Help me.
In the old video, we can see that the man uses a theatrical voice and he has standard English, whereas in the new video, the woman has a northern dialect. In addition, we're going to present two videos of the BBC informing about the weather, where we can see clearly the differences in stress patterns and the words. One is from 1985 and the other is from 2011.
East Anglia today. That's moved away now, but I think a good deal of cloud, some showery outbreaks as we run through the night. But it's not going to be a cold night. The lowest temperatures around about 7, 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. That's 45 to 48 degrees Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow, well, quite a mixture, a good deal of cloud, I think, in many places, especially up over in Scotland, down towards Northern Ireland, northwest England, down towards northwestern parts of Wales, and that.
Hello there. This afternoon we've still managed 28 degrees across southern counties of England, but that is the last of the hot weather. Things changing over the next few days, turning much cooler. We'll see a lot more cloud around, as we will do tonight. There's a weather front that's drifting its way southwards. It's not bringing much rain with it. It should be fairly patchy and light across parts of Wales. Some breaks in the clouds.
The differences are mainly the stress patterns and the inflection. In the newest video, the woman says to start the video, "Hey there," and also she uses more contractions. However, the man speaks faster than the woman, and he uses intonation in the first syllables, while the woman exaggerates the end of the syllables.
English language, as a living language, is also subject to change, including the ways in which words are pronounced. The phonological features of the BBC spoken English evolved throughout the 20th century. Actually, it has changed a lot, and in the past, people used to speak very accurate on the BBC. The BBC English that we have today is very different compared to the 1950s, when presenters were required to take elocution lessons in RP. There was a certain type of accent which was acceptable. Nevertheless, today, the BBC has presenters from a wide range of backgrounds and no longer requires them to take elocution lessons in RP, fortunately. In more recent times, you can see more variations. There are regional accents, and because regional accent is a sign of class distinctions, there is a great variety of accents representing more social classes than BBC did in the 1940s and 50s.